So you want me to go through this introduction, or if you are already aware, let's directly go to the hands-on.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You can go. Start from the beginning. I want to deep dive into this.
You want me to explain the introduction?
Yeah, do the introduction. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so Ansible is an open source tool, so which you might have already aware of. So when I say open source, so uh, anybody can install Ansible, and the binary code, the source code of Ansible is something which is available for anyone to modify it, right? So, and Ansible um, was itself a company earlier. Right now, Ansible is a Red Hat product. Okay, Ansible is a company which was acquired by Red Hat at 2015. Right. So what we do using Ansible? So using Ansible, we just do IT automation, especially like let's say, for example, you have multiple virtual machines, multiple containers, and you wanted to automate something like, for example, you want to install batch on multiple machines, or you want to copy some files in multiple machines, or you want to restart some services in multiple machines, right? All those things can be done. Especially Ansible is especially used in the IT automation sector. Okay, and configuration management. What exactly configuration management is? Because everybody always say Ansible is a configuration management tool. What is configuration management? Right. So configuration management is like consistency of all systems in the infrastructure is maintained. Let's say, for example, you have 10 machines. In all the 10 machines, maintaining same sort of configurations. Let's say, for example, you have 10 machines. In the 10 machines, you want to install Apache. In all the 10 machines, if you are maintaining Apache with 2.0 version, so that's what consistency is all about, right? So Ansible helps you to maintain all the machines in same level in your infrastructure. You have thousands of machines. In all the thousands of machines, you have updated patch installed, updated applications installed, updated version of application installed. Then that is called maintaining consistency. So maintaining the configuration of all the applications in your machine is done by Ansible. So especially this is called as configuration management tool. And automatic deployments. So you might have different sort of variety of environments, right? You might have Red Hat machines, you might have CentOS machines, you might have Ubuntu machines, right? So Ansible can work with multiple variety of operating systems, right? So you don't want to use different tools for each operating system, since because you have, I mean, Ansible can be flexible. Ansible is flexible enough to work with multiple operating systems, right? And why Ansible? Because it is simple. So when you say simple, so the code, whatever you are writing, it is human readable, right? So you don't need to really, I mean, the code, whatever we are writing is not so complicated, and you don't need any special coding skills to understand this code and write this code. And tasks executed in this is, it will be in an order, right? So let's say, for example, in the playbook you're writing 10 tasks. All the 10 tasks will be executed in an order. Like first task will be like, let's say, install the application. Second task is uh, install the copy some configuration files, and third task is restart the service. So all these things will be executed in an order and get productivity quickly, right? So let's say, for example, you're configuring 10 EC2 instance. In all the 10 EC2 instance, you wanted to install some application. So using Ansible, you can do this rapidly and powerful. So app deployment, configuration management, workflow orchestration, and app lifecycle. Like all these things can be managed with help of Ansible. When I say app lifecycle, so application will be, I mean, every time developers might be working on updating the application with new features. So Ansible can help you to release these new applications and install this application in your production machines or in your pre-production machines. Ansible is always called as agentless tool. Why it is called as agentless tool? Because
you don't have to install an agent. Real quick, I see that it has configuration control, deployment control, deploy out application code. But does it have version control? So like, if you have a bunch of, say you have 10 machines and those OSs need to be upgraded, can it handle upgrading OSs, operating systems?
No, it cannot.
So it doesn't have version control. How about built-in, like whatever? Say if you have a version of Apache, can it upgrade Ansible on say 10 machines to the latest Apache? What is it, like 3.6? Can it do that?
Yeah, application version control can be taken care. That's what I mentioned here, application lifecycle. But operating system version control might not be able to handle by Ansible.
Because that's such a big thing, upgrading the OS.
It's not about big thing. Ansible can communicate to your machine only when the machine is up and running. Like if your machine is accessible via SSH, then only your Ansible can communicate to the machine. But operating system requires reboot and machine might go unreachable. So all these things probably like Ansible is something which cannot handle.
Okay, clear. Hey, I know the rest of this. You can skip this one.
Okay. So agentless scenarios, I think these are something.
Push-in, this I don't. Push-in configuration tools.
Yeah. Are you aware of this?
No.
Okay.
Let me see that simple scenario.
Yeah.
Let's see, talking to the DBs. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's easy. Yeah, that's
Okay. So what is pull-based configuration management tools and what is push-based configuration management tools? So pull-based, you might have heard about Chef and Puppet. So those tools comes into this category. Chef and Puppet. Ansible comes under push-based.
Oh, okay. And then because you have to install an agent with Puppet and Chef, it pushes it to the host inventory file rather than pull. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So you might have a master machine here, and you might, like all your other machines, whatever you have in your infrastructure. So if your master machine, Chef master machine, wanted to communicate to the target machine, it always requires an agent, which is called Chef client. So you might have heard about Chef client, which need to be configured into your target machine. If the agent is not available, your master machine might not be able to communicate to the target machine. So whenever you want to push some changes, so always first it starts to communicate to the client, and client need to respond back to the master that it is available to execute the task. Once it gets a response, then only it will go ahead and execute your task, whatever you have written in here it is called as cookbooks. And the cookbooks are written in Ruby. All right. Over here, the same thing. You have master Ansible machine, and you have multiple worker nodes. Okay, so if your Ansible want to communicate to your target machine, it doesn't require any agent, and it can communicate to the machine over with the default protocol like SSH. So if your target machine has SSH up and running, so it can easily communicate to the machine, and even Ansible can communicate to Windows machines as well. So in Windows machine, it will expect a WinRM agent should be up and running. Right, and yeah, so here also you write a code, and the code whatever you written, it is written in the YAML.
Yes, yet another markup.
Yeah.
But my thing is, when it comes out in errors, the errors look a little bit more complicated. It doesn't look like YAML. I mean, yeah, it's plain English, but it's a little bit.
I didn't get you. Come again.
Never mind. Go ahead. You can keep going. Continue.
Okay. So this would be the architecture, right? So I mean, in your full-based configuration, you have server and you have your worker machines. I mean, your target machines. In the target machines, you might need to have agent installed, and agent needs to be responding back to the server. If agent is not responding, server might not be able to execute the task in the machine. But over here, so it doesn't expect any response back from the target machines. It simply pushes the configurations to the worker nodes through the default daemons like SSH and WinRM.
Okay.
Common use case of Ansible, it performs provisioning and it performs configuration management, application deployment. It takes care of security and compliance like patch management or rolling out any vulnerability patches and all those things. And orchestration, so you have hundreds of tasks, it can orchestrate and work together, right? So it just executes in an order. And the architecture of Ansible would be, so you might have one control node where Ansible is installed, so which can communicate to your other target machines, whatever you have in your infra, and irrespective of whatever distribution it is. If your target machine has, if your target machines are Linux and Mac, it will try to communicate to those machines with default protocols like SSH. If your target machine is Windows, it will use WinRM to communicate to those target machines. And remember the control node, which is the master machine, that should be a Linux machine. You cannot configure Ansible in the Windows machine. So the master machine should be always a Linux distribution, right? It should be Red Hat or Ubuntu or CentOS or even a Mac.
So Ansible can't push to Windows machines?
Yeah.
I thought you said it can push to Windows machines. That's why earlier. Okay.
It can push. I'm saying master machine should be a Linux machine. You cannot.
Okay.
Windows.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So installation, to have Ansible installed in your machine, probably you might need to have a couple of things like 2 to 3 machines available. Let me log in into one of the machines. Okay, so this is the this is one of the EC2 instance. Okay, consider that this is going to be the master machine, and the operating system of this machine is Ubuntu /etc/issue. Okay, it's Ubuntu 20.22.
I didn't even know that issue. That's the same thing as OS release issue? I never knew that.
Yeah, /etc/issue can give you the...
On any Linux machine?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, a Red Hat release probably you might be using that works only in Red Hat operating system.
I usually do OS release, and it usually tells me.
Yeah.
And then also, do I need to be creating these folders of snap and training? I mean, is this on the Git repo, the step-by-step? Because because I spun up the 3 instances in AWS, but the setup might need to take some time.
What setup?
Of configuring Ansible on all 3 of my machines, or configuring Ansible on the main machine.
That need to be done manually. You need to install it. I'm going to do that now. I haven't configured Ansible on this machine yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah. So these are some prerequisites. In your master machine, you should have Python available, and in your target machine also you should have Python installed. The reason because Ansible is a tool which is created. I mean, which is how can I say this? The primary code, the binary code of Ansible is something which is written in Python, and all the modules, whatever we are using, those are written in Python. So hence, Python is something which is mandatory. So once before you install Ansible, you need to always make sure you have Python installed in your machine. So Python, so either 2. Version or 3. Version, right? So anything is fine. So you can just use Python version, and I have 3. Version installed in my machine, which is fair enough. And SSH pass is something which you can make sure it is available, right? SSH pass, you might know about SSH pass, right? So it can allow you to communicate to your target machine via password. So if you don't have, probably first you can check if it's there. I will tell you how to use it at later point, but for now, if you don't have, you can just go ahead and install using apt install SSH pass. Okay, so it's installed, and yeah, make sure SSH is up and running. So probably you can use service SSH status. Yeah, we have SSH service active. Right. And Ansible can be installed in 2 ways, either via package manager or through Python package manager. Have you heard about pip?
Yeah, pip. I've seen people use it with Slurm. It's a tool for Python.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, but I mean, yeah, if you want to dive into that, that's fine.
So it's a Python package manager. It's more like
Yum.
It's more like yum and apt, but you can use pip only for Python related modules.
Okay. Clear.
Okay, so why is it talking about Terraform? Okay, I'm in the wrong directory. Okay, installation. So since because you're gonna work for Red Hat, so if you want to install Ansible in Red Hat, first you need to enable the repositories. So you heard about subscription manager?
Yeah. I actually had to set up subscription manager. I had to register it to a pool that we have on our domain. So they gave me the pool attach ID, and I was able to register a subscription manager. Really easy peasy.
Yeah. So if in case you're setting up Ansible in your Red Hat machine, probably first you need to enable the repositories using subscription manager, because by default Ansible repositories might not be there. So first you need to go ahead and enable the enable the repositories using subscription manager, right? So you can just go ahead and run these commands which can enable the Ansible repositories before you go ahead and run yum install Ansible. Without doing this, if you just go ahead and install yum install Ansible, probably you might get an error saying that package not found. Right? And if your master machine is going to be CentOS, probably you need to install EPL, so which is like internet-based repository, so which can download the packages from internet.
Well, isn't that what Ubuntu does too? It touches the open source repo. Does that work also off of EPL?
Yeah.
Ubuntu?
So for Ubuntu also we are going to do this. So we are going to enable the software properties common, which is gonna and also we are going to add the repositories which will download the repository from the internet. So all these steps, these two steps, whatever I'm talking about in CentOS and Ubuntu, which eventually going to download the repository from internet to your master machine before you go ahead and run a command yum install Ansible or apt install Ansible. So let me copy this and run it in my machine.
Can you also send me that command too in the chat?
Yeah. Sure. Okay, so repository is configured. I pasted in chat. And the next thing is, it's pretty simple. If you are using CentOS or Red Hat, probably you can go ahead and run yum install Ansible, or if you're running it from non-root user, probably you can use sudo. And if you want to delete Ansible, probably you need to run yum remove Ansible or sudo yum remove Ansible. In our case, since because we are using Ubuntu, so first you need to run apt update, since because we downloaded this repository. So let's run apt update. And then you can go ahead and run apt install Ansible. Okay, so which will install Ansible in your machine. If I say yes, Ansible will be installed. I'm not going to say yes because we will install Ansible through pip.
Okay.
Okay, so in this way, you should be able to install Ansible through package manager in your machines. And once after it is installed, you can simply run Ansible -n version to check the version of your Ansible.
Hmm.
And the next thing is pip. How to install Ansible using pip. So as I mentioned earlier, so Ansible is a tool which is completely developed with the help of Python. So because it is developed with the help of Python, so it has the flexibility to install uh, it using Python package manager. To do that, first you need to install pip. Okay, how to install pip? So there is a command given here. Okay, if in case you are using Python 2.x, probably you need to follow these steps. Since because we are using Python 3.x, so we need to follow this step. So all we need to do is just need to run this command. apt install python 3-pip, which will install pip in your machine. Let me clear the screen and just paste this command. So you can see apt install python 3-pip. So right now, before I run that, I will run a command pip3. I should get a message saying that command not found. Okay. So since because we are using Python 3, you need to always add the 3 as a suffix at the end of your pip. Even for Python, if you are running any Python command, you need to always add Python 3 because we are using Python 3.
Okay, but if you use it without the 3, it'll call to the old. It'll call to the
Come
old
again?
pip. If you do a pip without the 3, it will call to the old repository or the old modules in Python.
If I just run pip, it might not work because my base machine has Python 3, right? So when you just simply say pip, it is gonna refer your old Python in your machine. So you need to say pip3, so which will refer Python 3 in your machine.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just copy this and run it. So to install Python pip3.
So you needed okay. Python 3.10. All right, that makes sense.
Okay, so it's installed. Now if I do pip3, as you can see, and I will do pip3-n version, so I should get the version of my pip, and it is part of 3.10, Python 3.10. Okay. So now pip is installed. Now I can use pip to install Ansible. Pip3 install Ansible, which will install Ansible in my machine.
So if you want to see available modules that pip3 offers, you would do pip3 exist. No. Oh, pip3 install Ansible. Okay.
You need to know what other modules pip3 can install.
Oh, what's available? Like, say if you want, like in Red Hat, you do yum list, or you do RPM-QA to see available packages. How would you see available modules in pip?
I'm not sure. Let me run this pip3 list. Yeah, probably that gives you that. It's pip3 list. But this might give you the packages which are installed, I think, in your machine.
Oh, okay.
I think these are available. These are available.
Yeah, these are available. The wheel, SSH, SOS. Yeah, these are all available.
Yeah.
Ansible core. Wait, no, not Ansible Core. Oh, Ansible Core is the open source.
But
well, what's the difference?
When you install Ansible, it installs Ansible Core as well. Ansible Core is more like a kernel of Ansible, right? So in Terraform, we talked about Terraform Core, right? So similarly, when you install Ansible, by default, it also installs Ansible Core. I mean, whatever you are doing with Ansible, so Ansible always communicates those things to Ansible Core and get the response back from Ansible Core to go ahead or not, and based on that, it is going to execute it. So it's more like a kernel component of Ansible.
Okay, and then Ansible Tower is a licensed version with GUI. And this Ansible.
That's not the one. That's not the one. That is Ansible Tower.
No. Yeah, it's a licensed. I'm just thinking in my head Ansible Tower, and then Ansible, and then Ansible Core and it's not a utility, right? It's not. It's just built in with Ansible, the free open source version.
Yeah, Ansible Core is a free open source version, and Ansible Core, all these things are free. But Ansible Tower is an enterprise.
Yes, yeah, vendor support, yeah. Okay, all clear.
And once after Ansible is installed, you can go ahead and run Ansible -, version, which can give you the version of Ansible. 2.15.5 is the default version. And you can go to the browser.
So what's the difference between doing it, since we're on Ubuntu, app install Ansible and pip 3
both are same.
Install Ansible? The same, okay.
Both are same, but it has a unique use case. Let's say, for example, you have a machine where you don't have super privileges. Like, let's say, for example, your company has provided you a machine, but they didn't provide you like package manager access. I mean, the machine is completely restricted with a lot of pseudo privileges. I mean, in that case, still, if you want to install Ansible, probably you can use pip.
Okay, now I get it. So, all right. So for like people with non-pseudo access or privileges, they use pip. Administrators and everyone else with root access uses install.
Exactly.
Okay. So is it just as powerful? Is pip just as powerful? Because usually, if you don't have root privileges, you still have to do sudo yum install. Does pip work the same way? Do you need to do sudo in front of the pip to get like the modules you need?
Yeah, from non-root user, it might expect you to run with sudo, but because it is relevant to, I mean, it is going to install relevant to Python, packages relevant to Python, so it's not going to restrict you. Okay, so you're not going to install a package which can affect the base operating system. These packages are going to be only a Python, one single application-based packages. So even if a non-root user doesn't have a privilege, still they can go ahead and install Python-based modules, since because they already have Python installed in that machine, and they should be able to install the modules, Python-based module with help of pip. You're getting my point?
Yes.
See, let's say, for example, SSH. If you allow a user to install SSH, that's a package which can impact the whole system. Once the SSH is installed, like remote people can log in into the machine, even without your awareness. You are a system admin, okay? So, but if your subordinate or if any other developers install SSH, then they might use that machine wrongly, or some other people can compromise that machine. That can affect the whole system. But SSH can be installed through package manager like yum or apt. So that's why you're restricting it. But over here, with pip, you cannot install the packages which can affect the whole system. You can install only like Python-based modules, which is fine.
Yeah. You can't download anything pertaining to the operating system, network, or hardware, but for researchers that need, I don't know, like
exactly
CUDA toolkits.
So there are a lot of modules, like Python modules, like pandas and Paramiko, and all these modules are used for different.
Can they use can they use pip to pull like containerizations like Kubernetes or Ubuntu containers and spin up their own VMs or their own containers?
Come again?
So can they create their own containers, like in Kubernetes, you can spin up, like, or even Ubuntu, you can use Docker and spin up a container using Docker, deploy the Docker engine.
You can.
Install.
You can do.
Okay, so you can. Okay. Okay. So pip. Okay. Wow, I didn't know that. So that's some power there. I mean, but it will affect the system by taking up space.
But
okay.
But nobody's going to configure container or something in the same Ansible master machine. You might have remote machines, right?
No. I'm just thinking how powerful pip is. I'm trying to measure that in my head compared to Yum and.
No, it is just going to help you to install the application. Once the application is installed, let's say if you're going to configure containers, or if you're going to spin up some containers, so it is always not recommended to do it in the same machine. Okay, master machine is just going to have Ansible. And if you're going to spin up the container, you might have a dedicated Kubernetes cluster. You're going to connect to the cluster, and then you're going to spin up the container over there.
Okay, I get it.
So you can just go to Google and just type Ansible documentation. So it has a very good documentation community, so where you can just get the fundamentals of Ansible, and then the basics of playbooks and modules and all those things, right? Just pasting this chat.
I'll save this.
And SHPass installation, it is pretty simple. You can go ahead and run apt install SHPass, but if in case you're using CentOS and Red Hat, it might not be straightforward. First, you need to configure the EPL repository. Then you can go ahead and enable the repository. Then you should be able to run yum install SHPass.
I thought we already did this.
In Ubuntu, it's pretty straightforward. So we can just simply run apt install SHPass, because in Ubuntu, it is considered as a system module, so it can just go ahead and install it. But in Red Hat and CentOS, you need to first enable the EPL based repository, then only you can run SHPass. Then only you can install SHPass.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about config file. So what is config file? You are already aware of it.
I need a reminder. It's been a couple of years.
Okay. So Ansible has a component called config file. So that's more like a file where you can define how Ansible should work. Okay. So by default, when you do Ansible -- version, you can see there is a thing called config file here. Right now there is none. So I can go ahead and configure the config file wherever I want. Let's say, for example, I'm into this working directory. I'm in /root. I can go ahead and configure my config file here itself. So you can go to Google and type sample Ansible configuration file, and probably you can just get some GitHub link like this, and this is the sample configuration file. So you can simply copy this and create a configuration file. Okay, I'm gonna copy this. I'll paste you this link. Just give me a moment.
Okay.
So here in the root directory, I'm saying vi ansible.cfg, and into the file, I'm just pasting all the contents what I copied and save this, and it's done. I configured my ansible.cfg file. Now if I do ansible -n version, it should automatically show my ansible.cfg file. As you can see here, it was showing none. Now it's showing /root /ansible.cfg.
Okay, clear.
So it's more like a settings file where we are going to define how Ansible should work. Okay, I'm just pasting the GitHub link in chat, which you can use to copy and configure it. And you can configure it anywhere in your machine. Okay, so there is no any defined location like you need to put it under /etc Ansible, nothing like that. You can keep this Ansible.cfg file in any location. Okay.
1 second.
Sure.
But my configuration file still says none.
It should be, the file name should be named as ansible.cfg. Make sure.
Oh, okay. CFG. Ah, yes. Ansible -hyphen version. Okay, yeah, it's good. I'm good.
Okay, then I'm gonna configure my inventory file. So you might have known about inventory file, right? So I'm gonna create an inventory file. Let's say, for example, I'm gonna create an inventory file saying that what can I say? Name the file. I'm gonna say like
Stan class.
Let's say dev machines, dev
Host names. Dev host.
Yeah, probably host names. Dev_host names. That's the inventory file what I have. Now after creating this file, you need to go to ansible.cfg file and just make sure that your inventory path is set to this. So go scroll up. You will see that at the initial stage, inventory. So over here, you can go ahead and change the inventory path to /root /dev_hostname, and also make sure that your host key checking is false, so that any new machines, whatever you're trying to log in with the help of Ansible, that will not perform host key checking. And as I mentioned yesterday, so I did ask you to create a couple of machines, additional machines. Probably you can just add those machines into this file, new file what we created, dev_host names. You can just create a group like, for example, dev, and then you can paste all the IP address here. Like let's say the IP address, like whatever IP address you have here, like 32.100. You need to paste public IP address, okay? 1.12. 33.101.1.13, something like this. So paste all your IP address like this here in your inventory file.
So you just put the IPs of the two slaves in that dev host names.
Yeah, I didn't create the machine yet, but probably you might have created, so you can just put it
I'm
like
gonna do that. Okay. And we always use the public, even in any kind of enterprise, you always use the private IP. But since we're doing a class and we're internet facing, we use public IP. Right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Did you comment out the in your dev host names inventory? You commented out the first line, right?
I didn't get you.
So for your dev host name file,
Yeah.
did you comment out the first line? Let me see the first line again. So
That's
what is that?
That's my
parentheses.
group name.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
and that needs to be added. You can't just put hashtag
You can
host
skip
names.
it. You can skip it.
So it's not necessary.
Okay. But it is kind of a good best practices. I mean, it is a best practice, right? So you always differentiate your machines by adding group names.
Okay, group name, and then Ansible will be able to tell that, right? It'll be able to see that. The dev won't read it.
No, when you execute your playbook, you can just say execute this playbook only on this group, like dev group. So whatever you have listed under this group, only that machine will be targeted. You might have production group, you might have staging group, you might have many groups. You can avoid those machines are getting impacted when you're running playbook. So this grouping is really helpful in the real time to segregate your machines and run playbooks on dedicated machines.
Okay, so that dev in the brackets is called a group ping. A group ping. Okay.
Yeah, you can give anything. You can give Stan, you can give DevOps, whatever you want. I just gave for sample.
Okay.
You can avoid giving it also. That's not an issue. You can just paste your IP addresses there, or DNS names also okay. So the cloud machine, whatever you created, that might have DNS names. You can also paste the DNS names.
Okay. You mean the domain names. Okay. You don't have to put IP. You can put domain names. Okay.
If you're clear and everything is done, probably we'll stop till here and we'll continue from tomorrow.
Okay. Well, 12:30 or 12:30 my time EST.
Okay, which is my evening.
Well, what day is it tomorrow? Thursday, right? Tomorrow's Thursday, is Wednesday. Yeah. So your time evening.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.